Budget and Bollywood, films and entertainment, and what we see in numbers presented in Parliament today. These are the two themes that we just can't get enough of, and we love, and we just have to have more of it, which is exactly what we are here to do. Indeed, as far as the big announcements go that came through in the budget that the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman wrote, directed, produced, and of course starred in. It's touted as the big blockbuster of Fiscal 2024. And talking of blockbusters like Pathan, you can't get too far away without talking about Pathan. The hype has been huge. The naysayers, there have been so many. Controversies, well, not as much. But taking her cue from Shah Rukh Khan, Nirmala ji became quite the Pathan, picking up a lot of acclaim for the role that she played in orchestrating this entire budget. Of course, box office success, like Pathan, proved elusive. You equate it to the Dalal Street performance today, which in a way, in true Singham style, seemed to say, Ata Maji Satakli. Why exactly did Dalal Street feel that way? We're not quite sure, but welcome to this show. Bahi Khata returns with me, Vikram Oza, where I present this special budget review in filmy style, drawing correlations with the world of films and entertainment. First things first, here's our protagonist, our lead. Like Kangana Ranaut of Hindi cinema, she plays the lead in this film. Meet Nirmala Sitharaman. Like Sharang would say, as Rahul from the film Dil To Pagal Hai, we'd like to say, Nirmala, naam to suna hi hoga.
Honorable Speaker, I present the budget for 2023-2024. This is the first budget in Amrit Kal. I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakh in the new tax regime. I present the budget for 2023-2024. This is the first budget in Amrit Kal. This budget hopes to build on the foundation laid in the previous budget and the blueprint drawn for India at 100. We envision a prosperous and inclusive India in which the fruits of development will reach all sections and citizens, especially our youth, women, farmers, OBCs, scheduled castes, and scheduled tribes. 75th year of our independence. The world has recognized the Indian economy as a bright star. Our current year's economic growth is estimated to be at 7%. It is notable that this is the highest among all the major economies. This is in spite of the massive slowdown globally caused by COVID-19 and the war. The Indian economy is therefore on the right track, and despite a time of challenges, heading towards a bright future. Today, as Indians stand with their head held high, and the world appreciates India's achievements and successes, we are sure that elders who had fought for India's independence will, with joy, bless us in our endeavors going forward as well.
Nirmala Sitharaman sounding quite upbeat about the position that India finds itself in as a beacon of hope for the world, and the economic story that has unfolded in recent times, the macro numbers all seem to be indicative of that. And it seems like a Pathan is born right at the top of the year, but yes, we are on the 1st of February 2023. And then, of course, Nirmala Sitharaman started off talking about the budget, about the Modi government's achievements. When it came to announcing the economic outlays, she made one thing pretty clear, picking up that line from Amir Khan in the film Dangal. Mari chotiya, choriya, I should say, choro se kam hai ke? While women get much to cheer about in this budget, one industry that took it on the chin, of course, is the tourism sector, and we'll come to that in a moment. But what exactly did she say about women and being able to empower women that much more? Take a listen.
Economic empowerment of women. Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihood Mission has achieved remarkable success by mobilizing rural women into 81 lakh self-help groups. We will enable these groups to reach the next stage of economic empowerment through formation of large producer enterprises or collectives, with each having several thousand members and managed professionally. They will be helped with raw materials supply and for better design, quality, branding, and marketing of their products. Through supporting these policies, they will be enabled to scale up their operations to serve the large consumer markets, as has been the case with the several startups growing into unicorns.
So that's what we got as far as empowering women is concerned from Nirmala Sitharaman, the star, the director, the producer of today's production, the Union Budget of 2023. But yes, one industry that we know and are so familiar with in terms of destinations, in terms of where the film industry heads. When it comes for the big productions, you remember a time with our Yash Raj films. One destination that was always top of mind for Yash Raj movies was Switzerland, and drawing Indian tourists with the kind of lure that Swiss destinations had. Some of the biggest Bollywood movies were shot over there. Well, Nirmala ji seemed to say that why not now turn India into this big tourism hub? Waise bhi, Ranbir Kapoor in that film, Ye Jawani Hai Diwani, had this to say. Kahin pe पहुंचने के लिए कहीं पे कहीं से निकलना बहुत ज़रूरी होता है. बस Nirmala ji has really been able to say that and has taken it quite seriously, and she said this about boosting tourism in India.
Sir, with an integrated and innovative approach, at least 50 destinations will be selected through challenge mode. In addition to aspects such as physical connectivity, virtual connectivity, tourist guides, high standards for food streets, and tourist security, all the relevant aspects would be made available on an app to enhance tourist experience. Every destination would be developed as a complete package. The focus of development of tourism would be on domestic as well as foreign tourists. Sector-specific skilling and entrepreneurship development will be dovetailed to achieve the objectives of Dekho Apna Desh initiative. This was launched as an appeal by the Honorable Prime Minister to the middle class to prefer domestic tourism over international tourism. The integrated development of theme-based tourist circuits, the Swadesh Darshan scheme, was also launched. Under the Vibrant Villages program, tourism infrastructure and amenities will be facilitated in border villages.
Well, trips around movies, starting off something that is exploratory, something that is new, something that we can do in several modes of transport. Railways, and you'd be singing Chaya Chaya to that, and perhaps you'd be going on those road trips, something that has gone down our filmy histories as well, with films like Dil Chahta Hai and Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. Well, you could be singing some of those catchy songs when you take those road trips and singing those songs from the movies I was speaking about, but pause a moment. Will that old car that you own do the trick for you for those romantic long trips? Probably not. And buying your own car, well, that doesn't seem too great an option right now. I mean, what may make it a tad more difficult right now is the fact that the government is pushing through the scrappage policy on old cars, like Deepika Padukone then in that film, Om Shanti Om. In total, dramatic style would say, एक छोटी सी गाड़ी खरीदने के कीमत तुम क्या जानो, Nirmala ji. But get this, when she was talking about the scrappage policy, Nirmala ji made this boo-boo. And the audience in the house, she had them in splits. I'm talking about the members of parliament who couldn't hold back peals of laughter. Listen to this.
Vehicle replacement is an important continuing policy, replacing the old political, I know, replacing, absolutely, thank you, replacing old polluting vehicles, may be applicable, right? Replacing old polluting vehicles. Vehicle replacement. Vehicle replacement is an important continuing policy. Replacing old polluting vehicles is an important part of greening our economy. In furtherance of the vehicle scrapping policy mentioned in Budget 21-22, I have allocated adequate funds to scrap old vehicles of the central government. States will also be supported in replacing old vehicles and old state ambulances.
Of course, we are going to need a lot of pushes when it comes to capital outlays. Private investment is still lacking right now in India, and the government on its part needs to do a lot more spending since private investments aren't coming through. On that, Capex, the kind of Capex that the government is planning right now, as announced by Nirmala Sitharaman in that budget, makes us think about the big budget films as well. Lots of outlays, but you're never sure whether you're going to get the kind of returns that you would want to see when you're putting in that much money in a production of that size. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So big budgets in films may not ensure great returns at the box office. I mean, look at the kind of duds we've had, like Brahmastra for one. It took forever to make. It added all the doo-dahs in special effects, but it just did not work. But then you have big budget films like Bahubali. You have RRR, which gets everyone dancing and singing in sync, to Natu Natu. Yes, we're talking about the big step and all of that and picking up a Golden Globe. Maybe an Oscar may come too. मतलब ऊपर वाला जब भी देता है, छप्पर फाड़ के देता है. And of course, one hopes that in terms of the returns for the kind of capex that we are talking about, the government does get what they are seeking by way of the capex outlay that they have announced. But Nirmala ji must be hoping that for the big capital expenditure outlay that she is introduced, she is going to get bang for the buck. But now that's one of the big headlines. What about us, the Aam Aadmi, like Vicky Kaushal in the film Uri, the surgical strike? I feel, like asking you, the Aam Aadmi, how's the Josh? Like Shah Rukh had said in the film Chennai Express, don't underestimate the power of a common man. Well, sorry, the common man doesn't have great news on insurance premium this time from the budget. The tax on insurance premium above 5 lakhs is now going to be taxable. This is what we heard the finance minister say about it.
Investments in infrastructure and productive capacity have a large multiplier impact on growth and employment. After the subdued period of the pandemic, private investments are growing again. The budget takes the lead once again to ramp up the virtuous cycle of investment. and job creation. Honorable Speaker, sir, the capital investment outlay is being increased steeply for the third year in a row by 33% to 10 lakh crores, which would be which would be 3.3% of GDP. This will almost be 3 times the outlay made in 2019-20.
So that's what we got from the finance minister when it comes to the capital expenditure plans. And that is truly one of the big headlines today. But like I was telling you, we are looking at the possibility that the Aam Aadmi is going to gain from everything that has been announced. But that isn't quite what we got in terms of insurance premium, at least. This is what we heard the finance minister say. वैसे कुछ पाने के लिए कुछ खोना पड़ता है. That seems to be the big line, and that's what we heard the finance minister say in terms of the fiscal deficit. That's always the case. You win some, you lose some. वैसे कभी-कभी जीतने के लिए at least कुछ हारना पड़ता है और हार कर जीतना. That is a line that I'm stealing from the film Bazigar. Our Bazigar, of course, is Nirmala ji today, and she has had to ensure that she does not let India spend too much than it actually earns. Managing fiscal deficit can be a tall order, but what to do? I mean, you're looking at jab amdani athani, kharcha is rupaiya. But it seems that we're okay on that count. On the path of fiscal consolidation, the finance minister says that we are doing okay. So yes.
The revised estimate of the fiscal deficit is 6.4% of GDP, adhering to the budget estimate. The fiscal deficit is estimated to be 5.9% of the GDP. In my budget speech for 21-22, I had announced that we plan to continue the path of fiscal consolidation, reaching a fiscal deficit of below 4.5% by 2025-26, with a fairly steady decline over the period. We have adhered to this path.
There is parampara, there is pratishtha, there is anushasan. Amitabh Bachchan would have us believe that. When it comes to fiscal discipline, even Amitabh Bachchan seems to allude to it in that film Mohabbatein. But hum aam aadmi hamesha paisa karte hain. Paise pe hi marte hain. There is no difference to the story many years ago and what it is right now. Kya kare Nirmala ji? She understands this too well, and she has really said that, you know, it's a line that could possibly be coming for the Aam Aadmi. Nirmala ji saying she hates tears, just like Rajesh Khanna did in the film Amar Prem. So she took her cue from that film, Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, and she called us all Simran and said, Simran, ji le apni zindagi. This is what we heard the finance minister say.
I propose to increase the rebate limit to 7 lakh in the new tax regime. Thus, persons in the new tax regime with income up to 7 lakhs will not have to pay any tax at all. The second proposal relates to middle-class individuals. I had introduced in the year 2020 the new personal income tax regime with 6 income slabs starting from 2.5 lakh. I propose to change the tax structure in this regime by reducing the number of slabs to 5 and increasing the tax exemption limit to 3 lakhs. The new tax rates are 0 to 3 lakh, nil. 3 to 6 lakhs, 5%. 6 to 9 lakhs, 10%. 9 to 12 lakh, 15%. 12 to 15 lakhs, 20%. And above 15 lakhs, 30%. I propose to reduce the highest surcharge. I propose to reduce the highest surcharge rate from 37% to 25% in the new tax regime. We are also making the new income tax regime as the default tax regime. However, citizens will continue to have the option to avail the benefit of the old tax regime.
All right, so there you have the slabs that have been announced, bringing some reprieve to the Aam Aadmi. So now the real question is, अब क्या होगा? आगे जाके मतलब क्या होने वाला है? अब क्या सबके पास बंगला होगा, गाड़ी होगी, bank balance होगा? Well, all that we'll have to figure. That's in the future. But if you're hoping to make all of that in the stock market, today's reaction is not something that you should go by. That wouldn't be a great idea at all. Like I said at the top of the show, Dalal Street today has said, Atta Mazi Satakli.
Yes, it was the budget day and a very volatile trading session is what we saw coming in for the markets. Nifty ended the volatile trading session actually in the red, mainly dragged down by Adani Enterprises as well as Adani Ports as well. They did try to make an attempt to come back but still ended lower by around 350 points coming in off the day's highest point. So that is the off the day's highest point, it was around 350 points. Now, when you look at the constituents of the Nifty 50, out of the 50 constituents, only 27 actually saw a decline coming in. The rest were ended in the green. Bank Nifty 2, a choppy trading session came in there, mainly dragged by Bank of Baroda, PNB, what saw in coming in for the bank as well. Broader indices or the broader markets as we know it has did underperform the Nifty, and overall all the sectoral indices actually ended in the red, except what was the saving grace was FMCG as well as Nifty IT. Now FMCG was up almost 1%, mainly gained by ITC as well as Varun Beverages, while in terms of IT, that also saw a recovery and was over to 1.2% from the day's low point was the recovery that Nifty IT saw. TCS, Wipro were the leaders for the Nifty IT pack. Now, Nifty Metal saw a decline of over 4%. Hindustan Copper was among the drags as well as Adani Enterprises. Nifty Energy 2 down almost 1.1% and Nifty Auto 2 saw a decline coming in. Do not forget auto sales numbers were pouring in as well, so auto space was also in focus. But the M&M, TVS Motors, they were leading the losses for the Nifty Auto, and PSU banks fell as much as 7% from the day's highest point and was the top sectoral loser at the end of the day. So that's the whole roundup that we have coming in for the markets today on the budget day.
Yes, indeed. As far as today's stock market action is concerned, we'll see how it kind of pans out over the next couple of days. The Fed's policy action in terms of interest rates. Now, that's also going to play out, whether the markets are jittery because of that or some other reasons. That remains to be seen. But even the budget could not save Adani stocks, and our panelists have summarized the market reaction in the best way that they possibly could in this discussion that ET Now's managing editor Nikunj Dalmia had with them. He was speaking to Vallabh Bhansali as well. Listen in.
बड़े बड़े देश में छोटी छोटी बातें तो कुछ कुछ होती रहेगी. So except for those three balance sheets remain intact. I think the kind of dividends that will come out of banks is going to be staggering. I mean, both to the government and private sector. So bank after bank, is not talking of any significant credit cost, and we have seen the expansion of NIMs in many banks. So even if on a larger base some of these things get corrected, still there will be very, very healthy profits. So with government spending all of this with a reduced fiscal deficit, that is the most important thing. Therefore, any shortfall that could arise from any of these balance sheet stresses, if at all, is not going to be there.
Mr. Bhansali, on behalf of everyone from ET Now, thank you so very much for joining us on the budget day and really walking our viewers through as to what your thoughts are. I must say, Mr. Bhansali, over the years I've known you, for the first time I've seen you explaining a point by using a Bollywood terminology. बड़े-बड़े शहरों में छोटी-छोटी बातें होती रहती हैं. So that's the first one from Vallabh Bhansali.
So that's what we got from Vallabh Bhansali, and of course this was earlier in the day. We were speaking to so many stars, so many people who are part of this entire production, and of course there are critics, there's the audience. We've been getting all of those, but that's Bahi Khata returns. Picture to hamesha baki rahegi. While some people, they say, Utha le re baba, the Paresh Rawal in Hera Fairy that everyone remembers. The truth is that our love for Bollywood, for budgets, for stock markets, and everything in between continues. तुम नहीं समझोगी निर्मला जी, कुछ कुछ होता है. I'm Vikram Oza. From me and the team, thank you for joining us on this edition of Bahi Khata Returns.